And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of Fans of Power. I'm Tyler T-Rex Baker to some people, and with me, as always, is the man. I need to come up with a better analogy. I can't keep using the Wayne and Garth one over and over again here.
I don't know. You can say the man behind the mask. I don't know, the man of mystery.
No. That's you know me. I'm all about movies and tying it into movies and things like that.
Well, that's why I was tying into sort of a movie, Man Behind the Mask, when I was doing the video of Alice Cooper for, Jason for part 6 of Friday the 13th, Man Behind the Mask. Who doesn't know that song?
That is not exactly movie related. When people think, Man Behind the Mask, they're thinking, like that's the name of some dramatic movie or man.
They're going to think now, they're going to think Alice Cooper, Friday the 13th.
No.
For Friday the 13th, part 6. That's what they're going to think.
No, no one's going to think that, Joe.
Well, there. See, okay, there. You can set it.
All right. Well, instead of a cool way of introducing Joe, we just bantered for your.
There. That's my introduction. Remember, I have no official name. Well, before I was going to say something before we get started and mention a couple.
This is Joe Amato for people who could be coming, joining these festivities on this podcast at 88, which was a good year because that was the year that gave us Willow and Roger Rabbit, and the Marvel Action Universe started in 1988. So just to name a couple of good things. And my brother was born in 1988. So
all right, but also we didn't get some stuff from that in the other markets throughout the country and the world where
where Italy got the Giants and they got the accessories, the scuba attack, and the climber tower tools, and
so it can be bitter.
It was given a 1 year drought before new adventures would show up in our stores.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. But I was going to say, before I mention some of the news topics and then we get into our actual discussion, I wanted to say there was a couple things I got one I got at the store, the other I got in the mail. The first thing I'm going to show you is going to lead to a spin-off of a topic later, but it's this Mario race car. I'm sorry, you're getting reflection, but it's got I don't know, his hat and his mustache. I was like, why is this the coolest freaking little Hot Wheel that I ever seen? It was $2.
Why is Mario sitting in the car, in the cart?
Well, because it's like new kind of character. Oh, they're called character cars. So the car is part Mario's hat, part mustache, and they have other characters. I mean that they released. I didn't see them all there. They just had, I think, Toad and I think Peach, but the others were gone. But this was cool, and it leads to a conversation that we're going to have later, a discussion. That's why it was cool. I seen this. It spurred something. The other is, I'm sure a lot of you ordered your figures from Shop Mattel. Remember, they had a lot of overstock and stuff, and they had those very limited for the Disco New Adventure Skeletor. I was like, this had to be the coolest thing. I love all the little highlights of orange. I mean, shoot, I know Dirt's probably freaking out. I don't know if he ordered his, but what's cool is all the skulls and parts on this glow in the dark. It is the coolest freaking thing. And I don't know, Dirt, did you order yours? Is it coming? Because I have my box that, it's in another room I could show, but well, maybe you're in shock because you haven't got yours yet. Are you getting yours?
And look at that face.
Look at his face, son. It is so freaking cool. I was like, wow, why did they release it regular like this all the time? It's like, I love the staff though. You have to see it in person. This isn't doing it justice, but that's freaking cool.
So is that orange glow in the dark paint?
Yeah, the skull's orange. I mean the skull that's orange. Every orange part on it and all the skulls glow in the dark, but it's a creepy green glow in the dark. You think it would be orange, but it's this really weird, eerie green in the dark. It is freaky. So
fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were getting yours, but it's like, heck, I didn't even know there's a skull. It's weird. It's because they were painted, but on the skull of the helmet. On the helmet. There's a skull in the front, but it's gold, but that glows too. But I didn't even know when I was looking at my original helmet. I was like, I never even knew there was a skull there until I seen this, in gold. It's nuts.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah. So I had to show you that stuff, and Dirt can't join us for the rest of the show, but I had to show him before he took off, so I thought you would enjoy seeing that before you get yours, then I'm sure you'll be getting that soon.
He's in took off. That irritable bowel syndrome must have really hit him hard.
He's already gone. And of course, just for you guys out there, of course I'm pulling your leg. That's a custom. That's not real. It's a custom.
Emphasize that.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. You know me. I was just pulling along, just
You
having
don't know
fun.
that. You show up with a picture of me playing a He-Man arcade game. Is that real? How did I miss that game? I wasn't aware.
Well, it
Or
was
someone's
just
like, you know what? They didn't make that. You know, it's not documented. You know, they didn't really make that kind of game. According, you know, it's just
well, it was just
make
in case.
sure you emphasize that was a custom for
Yeah,
your.
that's why I was waiting. I was gonna, of course, let everybody off those, but it's a custom and it is gonna be
You
carded.
know, you could have let that go and turn that into like the next Wonder Bread He-Man.
That would have been rotten.
You
I
know,
would never want to do
no,
that.
it is real. In fact, I'm giving it for free to our producer Doug here because you know what? He's a stand-up guy. He deserves to have the only one. Oh, you have to come up with like some sort of it's like the Exxon gas station in a Disco Skeletor instead of Wonder Bread. It's like a gas
Right.
station exclusive or something like that.
Some kind of thing. But yeah, that's especially for we have somebody in the live chat. We have Grim Dagon, and he was like, "What?" He said, "I want one." So yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure I let the cat out of the bag because I didn't want him hanging on and thinking it was real and then
Well, he
freak
may
him
want
out.
one anyway.
So, well, yeah, maybe. I just want to let them know that. Now, quickly before we get into our three main topics, I was just going to say, as for little bits of news, what's going on? First, they said from Super 7, they said the Ultimates are apparently they're, I think, on a boat or something. Not on a boat. I think they're in San Francisco or somewhere, and they should be to people in about a week. So they're here. They're just being held off. Something about in customs or there's like a strike or something. I don't know. But that's what they said for the Ultimates. So they should be to people in a week. We'll see, hopefully. So that's that quick little bit there. Also, Super 7, they sent along, I think, well, they sent along an email to everybody showing some really cool things that they're going to have coming at San Diego Comic Con, at least for the first time. And I think that they're going to, how do they describe it? Skelebration for like Skeletor or something, but they're showing the Reaction Series 3 of figures that had like, I think it was Cobra Khan, Stratos, Battle Armor He-Man, Battle Armor Skeletor, and I believe Tila. Yeah, Tila and Zodak, and Zodak. So that's them. That'll be coming. Then they're gonna do two little 2 packs of these muscle figures with a vehicle and a figure. It's like Skeletor and Roton, and I can't remember if it was He-Man and Wind Raider, I think.
Raider, yeah.
Yeah, and those would be pretty cool. So there's two packs, and then the other thing that was pretty cool, it was a Rudy Obrero. They're gonna have a special Rudy Obrero portfolio of like all his art, and that's in collaboration with Power and Honor Foundation that they're doing that. So I was like, that's pretty cool for people that want to have some nice, clean, good pictures of Rudy Obrero's beautiful painted art. So that's their things that they'll be giving out along. I mean, well, be offering along with I think they're doing a reaction figure case. I'm thinking it's for reaction, but it looks like a case to hold your figures and has some beautiful art on the outside. And I didn't know if that's from Jason Edmiston or not, but either way, beautiful art. That's that from Super 7. The other quick thing is if you want to go to Funko Shop, they have a new little 2 pack of Dorbs. It has Moss Man and it has Beast Man. It's a cool 2 pack. So that's getting that out of the way. And finally, Funko is introducing some nutty new things. They're different. Fans are either yes or no. It's they're split. It's a new vinyl style of figure. And there's no I in this vinyl. It's spelled VYNL. And they even say that it's called vinyl because there's what is this? There's no I in vinyl because there's always 2 of them. It's always going to be in a 2 pack. And it's supposed to be like it's not just for masters though, because I don't want people thinking that they're just doing this for masters and like, oh, it's stupid. Everybody's getting DC's getting it. Like they're having Poison Ivy and I think Batgirl. They're having Freddy versus Jason. And of course, the first Masters 2 pack is going to be He-Man and Trapjaw. They're kind of different, I mean, you know how it is. You have to grow to like some things. That's all the new news. Just wanted to get out of the way. Didn't know if you've seen it, your thoughts on any of them, but that's all the quick news in 2 minutes by Joe.
Isn't it pretty cool how we can burst through, all this new news in a matter of minutes as opposed to dragging it on for an hour and a half? I just
Well, I
love.
mean, well, I mean, those like I said, those are just quick things. I mean, like when San Diego
I
Comic
know.
Con comes
You know
around.
what? You got to the point. No fluff. There's no
Well,
fat on this steak. It's all
well,
lean meat. Not
well, for these,
everything that you need.
yeah, these were quick. I mean, it's basically just the info. It's like things you can read. I mean, it's just you can just read online. So I mean, there's no sense of me really in depth discussing it because it's
Exactly, Joe.
well,
Anyway,
no, so I'm just saying, but no, like when San Diego Comic Con comes out and they have the releases of new figures, that'll be fun to discuss because we can give our thoughts on.
well, given if we're we're not given the Great Depression again like we had last year, where everyone's expecting great unveils, and we're He-Man fans are like the bums sitting outside, with a little cup asking for change.
Please more, huh?
Will somebody tell us something news? Any news? You got any news, Mister? That was last year, so I'm hoping this year at least tell us in advance, so I'm not expecting San Diego to show up and you're constantly refreshing various pages on social media and websites, thinking there's going to be some news and nothing.
Well, Super 7 did mention also in that email with all the other stuff I said, I forgot to mention, was one last sentence where it said, that's not all the new Masters of the Universe stuff. Stay tuned throughout the weeks. They'll be giving more. So, yes, there's more stuff coming. I'm sure they'll have more announcements. So, yeah.
I want more classics, and I want news on the vintage figures like Hero and Eldor that we were told we're going to get. Anything else is just like I'm like, you knock the table. Or where are the classics at? Where's the vintage figures at? That's all I'm concerned with. I think it's great that they keep making stuff, but that's all. We all know we all turn out for more classic reveals. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, hell, when Mattel was still doing it, the only thing that people were turning out for the Mattel panel was for classic figures. Yeah. So,
and now it's classics and the vintage 5.5, because we do want to see.
That's what I want. I want to see that we're getting Hero and Eldor, and maybe some of the prototype figures like that White Ninja that's showing up in some of that unused or Aaron McCarthy art or something like that.
Yes.
But that and classics, that's all I'm concerned with. But as for that stuff, the new reaction figures, the 3 3/4, I still haven't bought them due to funds and stuff like that. And plus,
they're cool looking. They're cool looking.
They're extremely cool looking, and I like the idea. I like the simplicity of these figures, and of course, being the oddball that I am, I'd love to see vehicles and small, like little cardboard play sets done for these figures.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah.
Because they're simplistic figures, so I like to see like a simplistic cardboard background, like with the Star Wars figures, like with the Cantina set, or the Clash of the Titans Calabas play set. I don't think was ever released. It was like a cardboard setup, something to display these reaction figures with, like the interior of Grayskull or the interior of Snake Mountain. Just a nice little display which you could sell as the play set.
Yeah. And I'm sure you never know. Maybe in the future it could be something. So hopefully it will.
All that stuff they reveal is very cool. Every bit.
But
I didn't see that last item you were talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about. That 2-pack. The only 2-pack I saw of something was Mossman and Beastman coming in that little like cherub. That like their eyes are
the little dorbs. Yeah, because that's
dorbs.
It's supposed to be like adorable, so they call them dorbs. But
yeah,
that's what it means. That's why even when they have the Jason dorbs, he even has that little squinties and smiles with his hockey mask, I think. But that's those things. But now last week we did a discussion where again I had a question about, hey, would you rather have a role playing game or a fighting game for Masters, and that really blew up. People loved it, but it also led to another one we thought about at one time, but it is about this little Mario thing. I always thought, and I'm sure you do too, and we discussed it, how cool would it be if they had a Masters of the Universe themed racing game in style of maybe like a Mario Kart, even whether it'd be a little cutesy or it'd be more serious, but how cool would that be? Your choice of all the different vehicles from like Attack Track, Land Shark, Wind Raider, because you could still have the things flying and race it, but what are some things that spin in your head? Because I would freak out if we had a Masters of the Universe racing themed game with their vehicles and power-ups. I think that would be bonkers.
I started thinking like various courses we're talking, because me and Joe have talked about this private before. We got like on I think at least 2 occasions, and we told us let's just wait and save the rest of this conversation.
Yeah,
I'm picturing like one track is like the interior of Grayskull, and you can bump people and knock them over the edge, and they fall down into the lower catacombs, much like in a Mario Go-Kart. If you get knocked off Rainbow Road, little guy in the cloud will come by and pick you up and put you back on the track, and you take right off again. You could do a tracks around Snake Mountain and go through the Blood Falls. You go through the Mystic Mountains. You could go through the Fright Zone. You could go through the Crystal Castle. You could go through Whispering Wood. You could go
even trippier. You could even do the monorails of the Eternia playset going around there.
That could be something that you could do too. There's
picture Central Tower, like the claws coming at you when you go by one scene. It's trying to grab you. That would be just so freaking nuts. I'd love it.
And then picturing, and I figured, you're probably going to see them not on Panther and Battlecat. So He-Man is probably going to have to be riding like the Road Ripper or the Attack Track or the Battle Ram or Dragon Walker. One of them, because I just figured Battlecat and Panther they could be used as like if you unlock like a special box and you hit it, you can have He-Man call for Battlecat to come and attack the person that's in front of him to knock him off the course. Same thing with Skeletor. If you're a heroic warrior, you pick up the special Battlecat box, cat box. Let the cat out of the box. That's what that icon is called. You get one of those. If you're a heroic warrior, use it anytime, and Battlecat will come by and knock the person that's off in front of you. Evil warrior, you call it out. Panther comes out and knocks the person out in front of you.
The kind of like special power-ups, just like a Mario Kart could have.
Or they throw the turtle shells out, or they drop the banana peels. So there's something to knock the opponent out that's in front of you. And, I mean, along with, just picturing, all these guys sitting in a little cart, like Skeletor sitting in the Roton. I mean, and, of course, the Evil Warriors didn't have a whole lot of...
We could bring in Fright Fighter,
Well, I mean, the Fright Fighter flies us, so something like that would have to be... that's what I feel like. The game like this kind of limit, because you almost kind of feel like you want to make them land-based vehicles. I mean, you got the Land Shark, the Roton.
Real quick, I think Diddy Kong Racing, didn't they do a combination of flying and vehicles that were on the ground?
I never played any of the go-kart games outside the one for Super
Nintendo.
I
might be wrong, so if there's somebody in the chat room that knows that, and if they could drop a line, let me know. I'm not sure.
You could maybe do it like this, because it makes me think of the game Road Trip, which was like a knockoff of Twisted Metal. They should put in a secret code. You could play as the flying saucer or the helicopter and complete the course flying above everybody and shooting them down and knocking them out. Maybe as the Fright Fighter, you can unlock that and play above. That is, you could win the race and constantly keep knocking people out of your way because you're above ground. They can't get you, but that's a special code you got to put in to play or either on a Sky Sled or a Fright Fighter or even the Wind Raider.
Yeah, because there's so many other vehicles, you'd wonder how could they implement them. I mean, I'm sure that could be a cool way, a strategy of doing it. But like everybody out there, I was telling Tyler, the one thing that would crack me up as for vehicle-wise could be the Dragon Walker, because it's always been joked about how, why would you want this vehicle that is so slow? Because like even James Eatock has spoofed about how this thing goes, like, oh, you're going to take forever. But how cool would it be? It looks like it's going slow, but it's actually going as fast as the other vehicles speed-wise. But I think it would be a fun little homage and nod to the slow movement of it. So as you're racing, you're seeing, like you said, the Road Ripper. You're seeing Laser Bolt. You're seeing Land Shark. Looking like it's really flying. And just like Dragon Walker's going... It would just be hilarious to see the slow moving, but he's actually moving as quick. I think that would just be an inside joke that'd be hilarious to see visually while you're playing that game.
And it's fun to think of like which ones, like you can picture the Road Ripper being one of the fastest ones because it's a low level vehicle that would be very fast. It doesn't have a whole lot of pull to it.
Tyler, you're getting me thinking all these goofy ideas go in my head. Picture, how they're always at the starting gate, 3, 2, 1, and then they go. Picture like Man-at-Arms or maybe just an attorney and guard standing back of the Road Ripper with the cord, and right when it goes, he pulls the cord and the Road Ripper starts off out of the gate. That'd be great.
That's fun. And with you saying that, I picture Orko floating above the starting line, counting down, and then waves a flag. Kind of like you got the little guy in the cloud that counts down and it tells you to go in Mario Kart. Orko floating above there, and then reminds you, hey, it's the last lap.
Yeah. Do you think he could be the person that could be around the magical boxes, like having, floating above him, like he could be, sparkling around the magical boxes that they hit when you go by the power up?
I guess you get boxes with no Orko to kind of let you know this could be absolutely nothing, or you want to find a box with Orko on it because that would give you like a great power up, whether it's a weapon to throw out or an extra boost of energy or something like that to give you an extra, because like a Mario Kart, they would run over those little arrows. If you hit them just right, it would speed you up like the little turbo boosters on the track or something like that. And a box with Orko hovering above it or his face on it is something you definitely want to make sure you grab. Or as an empty box or box like a standard crate could be nothing at all, or it could be,
just normal like power-ups. Like you said,
another thing. How we talk about you could drop out like turtle shells and banana peels.
Yeah.
You pick up slime pit barrels to dump out behind people. They start slipping and sliding in the slime pit barrels.
I like that.
Belting out behind you.
That would be great. No, that's cool, and it'd be cool if like each vehicle also had its own kind of, like in Mario Kart, everybody could kind of like all get the red shell, all get star, all get to this. Now beyond the ones that there could be items for everybody to use, maybe there could be vehicle specific things. Like you said, if you're going along with the battle ram, remember the vintage toy has those three little missiles, so you don't have those missiles that you could be shooting, and they could be like targeting missiles, or at one time would just be normal ones that drop and bomb in front of people. And then maybe if it was like laser bolt, he just has the cannons and the guns and shooting. You can maybe even.
I can picture laser bolt being like it goes faster if you lay down, but if you really want to focus on taking the people out in front of you, you rise up and start firing people, and then go back down to lay down mode to go faster.
Yeah, because it's slow you down. You're right. At one time, if you want to really get them, you're right. Just like in the commercial, how it goes up to stop, he goes up, but he starts going slower. You blast at him, but then you go back down, and you start going. Yep. That would be pretty slick.
That would be, and you could do so many like power ups. Like you could even throw in like a Stratos or Buzz Off power up, where if you pick up a Stratos icon, he swings by, fires blast out of his fists, and keeps going. Like Buzz Off could come by and use a Stinger Lance and just shoot it at like an opponent. I mean, along with the out of the box or cat out of the bag boxes. I mean, I'd picture Buzz Off and Stratos flying by if you pick up their icon and use them to shoot at people in front of you.
They could implement, like you said, so many things for every level. Like even if you'd have like certain levels, like when you're going through like a level that would be a snow level, and you see Icer in the background, maybe throwing big boulders or snowballs that come down and trying to.
Yeah, and he of course I could picture him throwing boulders at everybody, because I'd like to think that this race would have people from all the factions represented. Of course, the Snakeman didn't have any it didn't have any vehicles. I mean, so you might have to kind of put King Hiss in one of Skeletor's vehicles to kind of, because they did team up. But you picture like Horde troopers and various members of the Horde riding around in
those kind of flying scooter things or something.
Like the Destructo tanks and things like that. I mean, there wasn't. Unless we change this up, and when you do allow the more steed-like characters like Mantisaur, Night Stalker, and Stridor, which I guess you could do, because then you'd have Jitsu and Fisto automatically set in theirs, and then you could have Hordak riding the Mantisaur. So maybe you could do that, and they're all just kind of running like I could picture Night Stalker and Stridor being relatively fast, even though they're big machines. They are horse-powered machine. I could imagine them going relatively fast too. So, you could play around with that, and because I want to see as many cool characters involved in this as you could, So, and then of course for She-Ra, you got her. Well, it's Swiftwind. You get a right power for Swiftwind. You could probably have Swiftwind if it jumps. Swiftwind could jump and make it look like they're flying a little bit, or if you hold it down like the jump button long enough, and then release it, Swiftwind goes up into the air and flies a good distance over people,
Yeah, or if you wanted to even keep it like, let's say he was just as Spirit, but just like in all the other games, maybe after certain power-ups for maybe 15 seconds.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, remain Spirit.
Yeah.
But once you're playing as Adora on Spirit, and if you hit it just right, you turn into She-Ra and Swiftwind starts to fly over people.
So, yeah, that could work. Like, just like any
stuff like that you could do. I mean, and as for like other Evil Warrior vehicles, I mean, you could even incorporate like the Basher. But there's a lot of flying vehicles in here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It seems like more of the villains had more of the flying vehicles.
Well, see, I guess being the villains, other than, and of course, Roton, I mean, has been depicted as a flying machine as well, as much as.
But we're used to pushing it, even though yes, it looks like it's a flying one, but
it's more or less depicted as something that flies around, even in Filmation, all the various posters and stuff like that. So, I mean, other than Night Stalker and Landshark.
And Panther, maybe, if you wanted to throw.
Have He-Man riding Battle Cat and Skeletor riding Panther, if like the power-ups, but the cats was not. And I guess that makes sense, because that way you could incorporate, snout spout on the battle ram, and you can have Man-at-Arms riding or flying around in the Wind Raider or something like that. So
sure, but
there's so much stuff. But the point being is seeing the small pint-sized versions of these characters running around a track and the ice mountains, and you're avoiding boulders from ice, or avoiding ice hackers from dropping down on top of you, while you're going through this, cave or something like that.
Yeah, because if they were cuting them up, you could almost picture it's like having little loyal subject figures into the video game, into these vehicles. It would work great. Like I said, it's just you'd hope that if we could ever get Masters of the Universe back into the public eye, and we finally start getting video games, like how we talked about fighting last week. Maybe if we had a racing game, it would just be fun. It's just trying to shoot ideas out there in case there's ever people listening. This is stuff people would like. Trust me, it would sell. There's nobody that wouldn't not want anything. Especially, it's like when you buy any piece of Masters Universe merchandise, you can't tell me that when there's a game, and as long as it's cool, you wouldn't think, hey, I'd love to play that. I mean, especially since we never really got any fantastic games back in the old days. They were, even for the Atari days, the Masters Universe game was not really fantastic, even for its standards back then. Sure, it's something to play. It had He-Man, but I remember I had it and I didn't enjoy it. And I love playing games. I was like, I don't enjoy this game.
I think probably the better one was like the 87 movie, not because it's the 87 movie, but just from what little I saw, of the graphics of it.
Kind of made it look like Gauntlet, didn't they? If that's the view you're talking about.
I thought it was a bit of a side scroll almost. I thought, but it's been a long time since I've looked at it. But I remember considering the graphics.
Oh, I might be. Yeah, I might.
Everything it looked relatively good for 1987. But
not many people had it. Yeah.
No, and of course, I mean, a lot of great toy lines like He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe. Maybe I don't know about Transformers. I never played any of those games, but you never felt like a lot of these properties got great games. I mean, I know like G.I. Joe they had two for Nintendo. They had the arcade game, and I don't know if they had anything for some of the older systems prior to that. Thundercats, I don't think maybe they had one for.
They were on some of those weird.
I want to say like some sort of off-brand video game or computer game.
Yeah, it was like a computer game. I can't remember the company. I can't remember the computer, but yes, they did have a side scrolling, like you as Lion-O going through, and another one that was kind of
something like that. But I mean, just like we said, He-Man, Thundercats could work as a beat 'em up game, like a Street Fighter type game, Mortal Kombat kind of thing. Same thing with He-Man. G.I. Joe would be a fun beat 'em up game, like you're going around, which they did the arcade game of that, but it would be cool to see. You pick like 4 different Joes and you side scroll beat 'em up, going through various levels fighting. I mean, it's all these 80s properties. What I'm trying to say, all deserve this kind of treatment. And you could just constantly, as much as video game companies love to piss people off and charge people for upgrades and stuff like that, but it would be an absolute blast to play these games, and then you'd be able to unlock other characters, or if you had to purchase downloads for, more carts, more characters, and new maps to race around on in the Master Universe go-kart race or something like that.
People would be for
it. It'd be cool to even have a cartoon based on the go-kart race, just like the Hanna-Barbera cartoon, where all those characters are
Wacky Races? Was that called Wacky Races?
It's like Wacky Races or something like that. Hanna-Barbera Wacky Races.
Yeah, I think it was Wacky Races. I think. Yeah.
I love that cartoon as a kid. It was so cool to see all these Hanna-Barbera characters involved in these races. Who's going to win today? I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I love to see that He-Man characters.
It would be. So, well, that was another video game discussion of things that we'd like to see. It'd be great. And so that's out of the way. We have 2 other topics. This next topic, we're going to do mystery battles again. First, we're going to do one that a fan last week, he gave a recommendation in the chat room. He said Jitsu versus Fisto. So go ahead. Why don't you start off? Who do you see winning in this fight?
I'm going with Jitsu. I hold Jitsu in such high regard as such a great badass. And Fisto's been I just, I see Jitsu. I mean, this is one of those fights where it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Where these, I mean, essentially they're evenly matched, but Jitsu being the evil prick that I picture him being, I see him doing something. It may be some sort of minor bit of cheating to either throw Fisto off enough to get the final chop, to either, to knock Fisto out completely, or take advantage of a particular situation throughout this match, and he comes out victorious. Setting up a long-running feud through multiple pay-per-views, teasing it on the Monday night program and not giving it away for free like Raw does all the time, and they want you to pay $50 to watch the same damn match on the pay-per-view coming up the following the upcoming Sunday here. No. We have Jitsu cheat in front of everybody, and he wins because he's Jitsu, and we got the feud off and running, and you got the babyface chasing the dastardly heel for multiple pay-per-views until Fisto gets his big comeback at the big, pay-per-view spectacle. We have yet to call that,
Mastermania. I don't know.
Mastermania or something like that.
It's weird. We both said it at the same time. Oh, real quick in the chat room, JSP did say yes, it was wacky races. So
thank you for clarifying that. I enjoyed that cartoon immensely.
Yes, thanks for popping in for that. Do appreciate
it. That's why I love having a chat room. We got people looking up facts for us and clarifying stuff, and then they think, I think it's stupid,
Exactly.
But I'm going with Jitsu on this one, but only in a sense that, I see Jitsu as being so devious, but extremely good at what he does in hand-to-hand combat, whereas Jitsu is a master of martial arts. Fisto is not. He's a master of hand-to-hand combat.
And see, you saying that right there. See, that's why I wasn't going to say, I know you said he's dastardly and he'll do what he has to do to win, but I actually was seeing Jitsu winning myself just because, like you said, he might have an advantage with other fighting abilities. Like, first, picture this. Of course, we know one has the big chopping hand, one has the big fist hand. But you forget, they both came with swords as, the toys. Yeah. It would first be cool to see them maybe a clanging and a banging, blocking with the swords, back and forth with fist to this, just going back and forth with sword combat and hand-to-hand combat. But in the end, and like you said, Jitsu does have the experience of martial arts and other abilities. Then you could see him, taking out, maybe hitting weak points, doing something that Fisto was not used to.
Are you doing like a crane thing? Is that what you're doing there? You're doing like your hands like this. You're fighting like Shang Tsung,
I don't know. Sometimes, I go back to, well, never mind. But, I have little tendencies, if you will. But no, I can see, like you said, Jitsu basically getting the advantage with his martial arts background because he has more fighting experience. Not saying that Fisto is not a veteran fighter because he's a hardened fighter. He's a warrior. But with Jitsu, I do see Jitsu having the advantage because he has more abilities at his command.
That's why I like this one. This would be constant build-ups. You set it up because he did cheat. It comes close, but Jitsu would get the upper hand, obviously. But just because he's a dastardly douchebag, he does something to cheat anyway, and then gives him the final chop and knocks Fisto out. The audience is pissed because they clearly saw what he did. But Fisto's knocked out because he cheated, and then yes, we're building and building and building to Mastermania for the rematch for the big heavy fist titles, heavyweight title.
Did he do the illegal chop to the Adam's apple? Is that how he did it?
Oh, he's doing chops like Ric Flair chops, like he's just clap. Yeah, that's what he's doing there. But it's gonna be like Sting and Flair with Fisto and Jitsu. You're going to keep building and building and building, just as to be the man, you got to beat the man,
There you go. All right.
That's what's going to be. And it's going to be great. And Fist is going to get that big, hot, white hot comeback at Mastermania and win the heavy fist title.
He's got to get it. There you go. He gets it. Yeah, he comes back and wins it in the end. But now, before we go to our final topic, we got one more mystery battle. And again, this is on the spot. We don't know who's picking what. All we're going to say was Tyler was going to pick a member of the Horde. I'm going to pick a member of the Snake Men. And we're going to pit them against each other. We don't know who's picking who. But Tyler, you go ahead if you want to start off with yours. And then I'll say mine. And then we'll see who wins this fight.
All right. After Howard Fink announces that, the rules for a mystery fight and, and it says coming down the aisle, and then the music cues, and it's Billy Idol's Speed. And out comes Dragstore racing down to the ring.
I didn't expect that.
And I didn't either. I swapped it. I had somebody else picked out, and actually maybe an hour ago, I said, you know what? I'm swapping it here. I'm pulling a SummerSlam 80, I think is what, SummerSlam 89, I think, or 88. The one where Ultimate Warrior swapped out for Beefcake, even though it was not really. It was set for Warrior anyway. That's what I'm doing here. It's it's going to be Modulok, but really it's going to be that was my original pick, was going to be Modulok.
Was it? All right. Well, then that's going to make
I switched it to Dragstore.
Then this will make it interesting because my choice was going to be, no matter what, Snakeface, because Snakeface is one of my favorite Snake Men. Now that we say this, that's an interesting fight because, I'm not going to say I wanted to give Snakeface the advantage all the time just because, bam, he would look at him and turn him to the stone, saying easily. But now it might be a little trickier because now you bringing up Dragstore, as fast as he is, that could be a pretty hard target for now Snakeface to engage that look to turn him to stone. So now Snakeface is going to have to start going to stuff with maybe his shield to maybe try to throw maybe at Dragstore as he's on his wheel going real fast to maybe flip him off to get him to get out of his speed run, and then maybe he could catch him. Now it'd be hard for Snakeface to do this. Now you got me debating. I'm wondering. I don't know what Snakeface could do to stop Dragstore, because not only is Dragstore super fast, but he's super powerful. He's strong. You remember how Hordak injected him with all that energy and power.
He's like a jet engine cyborg, essentially. I mean, the guy is I almost feel like he's an evil version of RoboCop with a big wheel on his stomach. But to me, Snakeface is arguably the strongest of the Snake Men, simply because of what he can do.
Yeah, you don't want to look at him.
That's the thing, is that I felt like with someone like Dragstore, all he has to do is just keep his face down and look at Snakeface's feet. Right. Snakeface could probably bounce around. If you look at Snakeface in NYP, you picture him as being a kind of a rather agile guy. So he could probably do a lot of backflips and jumping onto the turnbuckle and things like that. But Dragster could run all over that ring, hitting the turnbuckles, hitting the ropes, bouncing all over the place, and just run. Snakeface is going to get wore out at some point because Dragster's on the mat, running around all over the place. All he's got to do is clip one of Snakeface's legs. But I imagine Snakeface could probably recover. But I think simply the exhaustion of keep jumping all over the ring and not being able to, not to say it couldn't happen, but the object of trying to grab a hold of Dragstore while he's on the ground. You're looking at this living, breathing engine running all over the ring and trying to grab a hold of him and look at him, get him to look at you. I almost feel like the sheer force of trying to catch him is enough impact to probably knock the hell out of you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why if he would be able to use his shield, I think his shield is the only thing that maybe
if he crashes, like he times it just right, like he sees it, times it just right, and maybe goes up the top turnbuckle, holds his hands out like Macho Man, and then grabs the shield, and then instead of dropping the elbow, he drops the shield, hoping to land on Dragstore's head, and then smashing it into the ring because he's going so fast. Possibly knocking him out cold to pick his head up, look at him, and turn him to stone. If you go that route.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, because I can only see, like I said, if he could stop Dragstore from his constant super, fast moving, somehow, like you said, get him off of his stomach.
I really like that ending. I came up with that.
What did you say?
Like, you know what? That's pretty plausible.
It is, but like I said, it's the only way is using probably his shield to get him off of his stomach and get him either to fall on his back or
he takes
to get him to stand it
up
and
up. It down into his exhaust pipes, his exhaust backpack that he's got.
Mm-hmm.
If you use that snake staff to maybe damage some of the exhaust, it could get the exhaust could probably get built up into his body and cause him to choke.
Yeah, you had to pick the one person that's so freaking quick. Like I said, you didn't know what I was picking. I didn't know what you were picking. But yes, Dragstore is the only one that I think he'd have one heck of a hard time getting. So, if he could somehow stop him, from moving, I think Snakeface wins. But if he can't do that, I could just see Dragstore just flying right through him with his speed, his momentum, how hard he can hit, and how strong he is. Dragstore, you think, could be the winner. So, that's a tough one. I want to pick Snakeface because he's my favorite. I guess in my little vision, I see him somehow getting him off of his wheel, off of his stomach, popping him against a rope or something, getting tangled in a rope because of his speed, and then he looks at him.
That's a plausible thing. Like Dragstore has got to be, like the best of the best of a NASCAR driver, where he cannot afford to get caught up in the ropes. Because if that's the case,
he's done. Then Snakeface can get him.
if we're kind of banking on the idea that we're not doing one of those things where like the ropes break or something like that. We want to play this up as if like because there are. I mean, well, then again, too, we said no weapons last time. But then if but then again, we had Jitsu and Fisto using their so
I still can see that. Like I said, Snakeface not even using weapons. I still see him.
You know what? We got to tell each other before we do this. We announce what kind of match this is.
Yeah, because what's weird is I never was really even thinking of it as a wrestling thing. I was thinking of it as a fight. But once you did wrestling, I guess it kind of like popped my head different. But here's the thing: I still see Snakeface. I mean, he's a snake. They're quick. They have quick movements. So I can still see him even without weapons being quick enough to move out of the way of Dragstore. I mean, heck, there could be one time when Dragstore's zooming at him, Snakeface moves off the side, but then he grabs him by his throat and he's riding on him. And then maybe he could turn right around and look at him. And he's riding him, and bam, he looks in his face, turns him to stone, gets him there. So I think I'm gonna pick Snakeface, not just because it's the one I chose, and he's of course my favorite Snake Man, but I gotta figure a way. There's gotta be a way to stop Dragstore because I love Dragstore. Don't get me wrong.
Even if Snakeface were to jump on top of it and Dragstore's running around the ring and builds up enough speed, I mean, he could run head right to the turnbuckle, flip into the air like this with Snakeface on his back, and then run Snakeface into the turnbuckle.
I guess I could have. I think either way, I'm picking Snakeface. Snakeface is going to turn him to stone. I'm picking Snakeface for this, not just because he's my choice.
All right, I'm picking Dragster, and it's going to end with Snakeface out of exhaustion, just kind of waddles, and he builds up that tire running so fast, grabs Snakeface by the head, and then just runs his face against the burning rubber on it, and just obliterates the skin on Snakeface's face.
Well, thank you for that great image. Thanks for just destroying Snakeface's face.
Hey, well, it's not a fatality here, but hey, he burns rubber on Snakeface's face.
I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. I guess maybe they lose at the same time because as he's doing that, ripping it up, one of the snakes goes and looks at Dragstore, and they both beat each other.
KO.
There you go. Exactly. So they both finish each other. Well, there you go. We just created a finish inadvertently. They both just knocked each other out. So
yeah, I go with that. Yeah, I'll go for that.
Well, that's the end of our mystery battle. But let me go look at the chat room to see if any. Okay, JSP was still saying more. He just wanted to let you know that it was 1988 for when you were referencing of what year for that SummerSlam. And he also said, I keep having a similar pro wrestling idea in my head where you could have various characters from Masters of the Universe, DC, and Marvel face off in the ring. I limit it to strength class of 75 to 200. He says, He-Man versus Thor, and I think he said Darkseid versus Skeletor, etc. So, I appreciate that. I would like other thoughts of other, universes colliding. I mean, that's always fun to think of other worlds colliding. Of course, you always get people freaking out saying, no, this would win, but that's why it's fun. It's hypothetical. It's just like we did. There's never really a real winner, but it's...
Well, at least we know with He-Man fans putting this together, they're not going to be like those pricks at DC who, I remember when they crossed over He-Man and DC for that abysmally bad crossover. They made up a list of all these fantasy matches, and they were laughably picking all the DC characters because they were just looking down upon every He-Man character.
I remember that.
Oh, man, I was so mad over that.
Yeah, that was stupid. They obviously...
Okay, well, this crossover is doomed because they don't take this property seriously.
Yeah, I remember that. That was not fun at all. What was that in, again, where they did that? Was that was that a magazine or was it an online poll? I can't remember where I saw
it. It was an online article where they asked these two idiots from DC about, hey, what do you think about these two? And they're like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
With terrible body. I'm like, do you have to pick every DC character? And it was just,
yeah.
It just felt like, why did you ask these guys to contribute to this conversation if they really just are all about DC and not He-Man?
I remember that now. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, it was just degrading, and I just felt like I just wanted to smack the hell out of him. I wanted to walk by like Mo, grab him by the nose and smack him like that, and take smack him over the head and shut up and smack him in the face.
There you go, give him the Three Stooges treatment.
There's a lot of people I'd love to pull Three Stooges. That's why I grew to love Mo as an adult more than I did as a kid, because he is funny. He's just the constant slapping of the face, and
he sure did it a lot.
Yeah.
He did it.
Oh my God.
Well, let's get to our final topic. And what is our final topic, T-Rex?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, here we are going to be going back to Princess of Power for another commentary on a personal favorite of mine from season 1, Duel at Devlan, which is the first appearance of, I'm calling him a fan favorite. I'm calling him a T-Rex favorite. He's an Axel Jimenez favorite. And I'm quite sure, I'm going to assume he's a lot of people's favorites too. And if you don't know who this character is, you have to watch this episode to really appreciate the badass level that this character has. Because after this, like a lot of characters, they get one great introduction and then they're reduced to a villain
slapstick.
Slapstick, slipping on a banana peel, so to speak. But Dylan,
there you go.
Prototype He-Man character that was scheduled as a figure. He showed up in this cartoon maybe 3 times, I think. Shades of Orko is one of the episodes he's in. I think he has one other appearance.
Is this episode 6? Is this episode 6 of Princess of Power? I can't remember.
Yes, it's right after Secret of the Sword wraps up. Duel at Devlan takes place, and I think the Seahawk is after that, I think.
All right. Well, you tell them we're going to do this. Tell them how to set up. And
just to let everyone know here, I'm using the DVD from the original release of She-Ra from BCI that came out years ago. I remember picking that up at one of my local Walmarts back in the day. I'll be using that on DVD, and I'll be counting down from 3, 2, 1, and play. When I say play, hit play on your desktop or laptop or your phone or your
the
TV.
Filmation logo to go.
The Filmation logo will just come right onto the screen. So, Ready? 3, 2, 1, play. And there we go. Bing!
All right.
And so, I guess while the glorious She-Ra introduction is coming up, Jojo, you mind telling us when did you see Duel at Devlan for the first time?
Well, the first time it popped up on TV. I mean, I watched every episode when it first came out brand new. So whenever it came out back then when I was a kid, I was there waiting. Because, when you'd watch She-Ra, you felt like you were watching He-Man. You didn't, you felt like it was the same universe. They were different worlds. It was brother and sister, but you still got the same excitement watching She-Ra as you did watching He-Man. So you were always waiting for any new characters, to pop up. And of course, when, this starts off and you finally see, Dial-A-Mug, very unique, different looking character. You'd honestly say you've never seen a character in He-Man or Masters of the Universe that looked like that. It's very different. Like I said, when you see this guy for the first time, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Creepy kind of voice, a different kind of voice, how he speaks. It's like he creeped me out. He was one that creeped me out. He creeped me
because the same for me, because as a kid I didn't know what the hell he was.
Right. It was, and when you don't know,
is he because his face had like a brown color to it. So I'm like, is that like skin color?
Yeah. Well, you don't know what you're looking at. It even makes it creepy.
The wires and stuff, and George DeCenzo, who did Hordak's voice and Seahawk and Bo, is doing Dial-A-Mug's voice, and this is the only time it's very maniacal.
You hate that you didn't get more of him like this in this.
Oh my gosh! I didn't like this a whole lot as a kid because I was like, "Where's Hordak at?"
Here we go. This guy? Here comes the neighbor trying to sleep.
I'm gonna stay quiet here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Join the party.
Yeah,
just
freaky.
And then look how big he is.
That's what I mean.
Like he's just a big machine.
His arms are way up here. You don't, like I said, you don't know what is this thing. And of course, everybody's sitting with pies. Look at the light bulbs and the wires. It's just one creepy looking thing. And
his laugh. It sounds like an old radio voice. And squinting his eyes, and even though he's not doing the Dial-A-Mug feature, which would be switching the eyes and the mouth and the nose, it's just creepy looking. We'll come up here in a few moments when he smiles. Yeah. Oh boy, that was. I
also like seeing the blast coming out of the bat on his symbol.
Yeah.
It's cool to see that have some kind of like purpose. Instead of just being a decoration, it's doing something.
And his fingers, they look very he's a machine, but they look very thin and bony-like.
It's almost Terminator-like with kind of like the robot.
Definitely Terminator-like. Look at him. And watch his mouth. Oh gosh, he's so creepy.
Yep, and here's the shop owner, of course. He's trying to, like, keep the peace. He's trying to make the stuff stop. He wants everything to end. But, of course, Dial-A-Mug, the horror troopers, they're not going to have it. And, of course, now he's going to, like, disgrace this guy with a pie in the face.
This is like a classic Western tale where you got these hoodlums, coming in and smacking people around, and a hero has to come in and clean the town up. I mean, it has a
you
very
see the
Western
Horde troopers. Yeah, and you also see how the Horde troopers are people and not just robots. You can see. I like that.
They have personality, so to
Yes,
speak.
and I like that this young girl. I like that Kristalla came and stood up to Devlan, and bam, pied in his.
And the Horde troopers are laughing at him, of course. Oh, we're getting ready to see that very devilish smile of Dylamog.
Yeah, you hear it there.
I just thought it was so weird as a kid.
But it's almost, what's weird? It's like a devilish smile in a slight way, like he's like, okay. Almost, I felt like he respected what that little girl did, like a slight little respect, like, okay.
Like, it was cute. This little girl stood up to me.
And he left, yeah, exactly. Like, okay, you had your moment, and I'll leave now. It was different. She made him leave. I like her, bravery. And her name, Kristalla, it almost felt like something was meant for her, maybe. Like maybe this girl could have became something eventually, because she had the typical, Princess of Power kind of name game. Usually the background characters had, my name's, whatever, Tanya or Tina or something, but she had a unique Kristalla. I wonder if there was something meant for her.
Oh, here's my crush.
Oh, Frosty. She had a slumber party. She had a slumber party
with
the door.
Hard nipples right now.
There it is. No, but didn't she have? She had a slumber party with Adora or something and stayed the night. I'm not joking. It's not.
She stayed over. Boy, now that's a slumber party. I'd definitely be sneaking around in.
Well, yeah, because
I got Frost and Adora sleeping in the same tent. You can bet I'm going to be crashing that slumber party.
There you go.
I always like the scene too of her setting up this big snow hill.
Yeah, because now that's Sprocker who wanted to he made his nice little sled.
I thought it was fun. Like, this looks like fun. He's going riding on his sled, and I'm like, look at this. This is just instant cool. Instant cool.
Got the snow right there, and he's already got a sled. You know what if she said, no, you ain't getting no snow. Forget it. You made this sled for nothing. Go jump in the water or something. That was nice she did that for him.
Yeah, well, it's just she's just a very lovely character and hot as hell. Kind of ironic.
Yeah, there's Wookie. I seen him.
Yeah, I saw it.
I remember that when I watched
Wiggets. They're like the widgets. I mean, they're cute. Small fun characters. They're fun.
There you go. That's nice there. No, but
there's Broom. Love Broom.
Yep, there's Broom. But no, I always like Twiggets too. Madam Raz. We're gonna have some breakfast now. So you know what?
I like this scene about the breakfast because I always thought it looked so tasty when I was a kid.
The tasty part where, well, of course you're not going to see it till a little bit, but yeah, I know the part you're talking about that did look tasty. It's anytime you've seen, I won't say the thing, we'll see it, but oversized food. It always was like, wow, I'd love to have something gigantic like that to eat. Of course, my guy, could you imagine having something that big? It would take you forever to eat, but you'll see it in a bit. But of course, there with the eggs backfire. There's 5 of them.
Yep.
Popping everybody on the head. She's doing her version of Orko, hitting people with eggs, I guess. Always got to have her little moments. Damn, there went Bo. He got his too. So I think there's 1 egg left.
I wish I had a cow floating around me all the time. I love having cows as a little buddy.
Yeah, he was the know-it-all, and he always had something smart.
No, I never felt like. I mean, he's constantly busting Bo's balls all the time, but I just thought he was a fun little character. It'd be cool to have like a little floating owl with big ears floating above me right over here.
Now, where did Glimmer come from, and where did all the egg go on their faces? Did Madame Rise use a magical spell? That I didn't see.
Glimmer hangs out with this clan all the time anyway.
Yep, so and all the eggs disappeared. In 1 second, the egg's all gone. Madame Raz must have did a cleanup spell when we weren't looking.
They deleted scene where they clearly are writing the.
There's the big pancake. I was like, that's. I always like the scene too, especially when it comes down and bam, lands on him here in a second. But yeah, anytime they had oversized food in the cartoon, you're always wishing that, hey, I'd love to be a part of that and eating that. So that bam, got them all. There they go.
Big massive pancake. Yeah, that looks awesome.
There he goes. Bo's, he's enjoying it, wanting a little bit of syrup and
yeah.
There's your syrup right there. So, and you know what I like about this part here? I like that Spirit just wants to go for a nice little, just fly. Just go out and relax. I like this part here. I like that he just wants to go and have a nice enjoying time flying out in the air. See, it shows that they do have, I guess, times where they, it's just like I always said, where Adam, He-Man, if they want to relax, you see She-Ra, Adora, they just want to go for a nice flight. If you had the ability to fly, wouldn't you? And if you, just had the time, just go out and fly around. So that's what, it was weird. That was.
Imagine the constant breeze has got to feel wonderful up there. And
I mean, look at that.
It's fun to establish moments like that between
those two right there, especially to think about it. This is like, she's not transforming to save the day. She's transforming to just go for a nice little ride in the air. I liked it. I thought it was just different. So there they go, just enjoying themselves. Taking a nice little flight. And of course, now we're going to lead to something else right here. There's the firecracker. This girl, I liked it. Some of the kids in the cartoon episodes of He-Man and She-Ra could annoy you. But this Kristalla, I liked her, her spunk. Her, she was brave. She was, she didn't want to, take any mess. I like seeing a character.
She's not written as a whiny kid, which is... Yeah. I'll never understand why so many 80s shows, and it was probably due to the higher-ups because they thought they were clever and smart, but to make so many kids, unless it served the purpose of the story to write the children is obnoxious with obnoxious voices and crummy personalities. It's just, you really appreciate when you see kids portrayed as competent people and they don't sound irritating, like they want to do a good job portraying children as very likable characters, not just. And
she's competent.
They're a plot device.
And she's, like I said, competent, brave. I mean, she wants to do what's right, and she wants to protect her town, her people, her father, everybody. She wants to protect Devlan. And that's what you got to respect from seeing this from this young kid. And of course, bam, She-Ra pops up, and I forgot what this device was called.
No, it's cutting. Killer? I mean, I'm not.
Was it a horde killer?
Hey, and I noticed it because they do this in Talent for Trouble. That tank is down to chop down.
Was it called a tiller?
The wheat is cut down there to cut down the wheat fields and things like that. So it kind of makes you wonder: does the horde go and take what farmers are growing and take it back for themselves and then sell it to the locals of Etheria?
Oh, probably.
Because there's a transport in Talent for Trouble, like a transport filled with hay.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious.
I'm sure they do. That's all they're about. They're all about getting everything they can and getting their money. But I think that was a tiller.
They still at a godly amount of, like a ridiculous price on top of the taxes. So they are the mob of Etheria.
Yeah. I didn't know if you heard what I said, but I think that was a tiller. I think that's what they called it. Maybe. I wasn't sure.
What?
A tiller. Is that what they called that thing that was chopping up the wheat? I couldn't remember if they said it was a tiller or not.
I could not tell you. Like I said, I'm not the
well, there she goes. All right. Well, there's little Kristalla. She's telling everybody what's going on in her town and obviously needing help. And this is another spin to the kind of cartoon where she was like, she's not going to have all of them help. Only She-Ra's going to do it. And she's going to go to that town and kind of have them see what it's like to take care of things themselves. That's, of course, you'll see that later, what happens. But
this helps set up, I mean, you see parts of it. If you're watching She-Ra from the beginning, you see that the rebellion is quite small and that most of Etheria is taken over, by or at least under Horde control. Obviously, the Whispering Woods is not, but She-Ra going to this village by herself, that's completely, unaware of She-Ra or anybody, probably not even too aware of the Great Rebellion, other than probably seeing them as fools trying to go up against the Horde, sees her coming in and take on Dylamug and the Horde troopers all by herself and building their confidence that you can fight back. It builds some great continuity as establishing that, that the Rebellion is getting bigger and sets up the constant struggle between the Horde and She-Ra and the Rebellion, because they're constantly getting, even though you see episodes like Price of Freedom where, the villagers clearly lose. I mean, their homes are burned and stuff like that. But this is a great episode of setting up the dynamic of what She-Ra is going to be about, is fighting against the guys who are in charge.
Oh yeah, that is what's good. And you also again get to see the bravery of that girl. She's not scared to get up on Swiftwind and fly with She-Ra. Again, more of that little girl. She seemed like I felt like they could have did more with her, believe it or not, in future episodes. Like maybe if she would have came to her and her father here, maybe could have. And I think his name's Darius. Oh, here they come, right? Yeah. What I call the Horde.
And Darlin's got a different voice here in this scene, and I give James Etok credit for this one. I believe it was supposed to be a horde. It was supposed to be a whole group of Horde troopers, not Dylamug, which is why Dylamug's voice sounds completely different here. That the Horde trooper was supposed to be saying this particular bit of dialogue, I believe. But look how cool these machines are. They're like bikes. It's like
I called them. I said they're in my vision. They're flying Horde Harleys.
Yeah, How awesome would it be to have that in classics form? Or Dylamug comes with one of these Horde Harleys.
I'd lose it. I would lose it.
Gosh, man, that would be such a great display.
That is a vehicle they need to make. Somebody like Joe Amaro, he needs to get on that. I know he did a fantastic job with the Roton. He needs to make the Horde Harley right there and have it 2-pack with Dylamug. That'd be great. A little stand, making it look like it floats. That would be nice.
And I hope to God that we're getting Dylamug released by the Horsemen in Super 7 this year.
Yep. Exactly. Oh, She-Ra holds the girl back, doesn't want her getting touched and, getting frozen too. So She-Ra's going to take care of business right here and free your father, Darius. Thank God he wasn't ice too. He would have been shattered to pieces. He would have been
he would
blood. He would have been ice cube chunks of blood, but thank God that did.
It's like a Sub-Zero fatality you're describing.
Yeah. I'll save your father. Oops, sorry, Cristalla, my fault.
And she was like, oh well.
Exactly, and then Cristalla joins the Horde to stop She-Ra because she killed her father. That'd be terrible.
Here we're back with the gang making their big threat for Devlan here.
Yes, and this is I like the threat.
It's a great paint shot. It's a great shot of the entire village. They're all out there and listening to the Horde because the Horde commands obedience. And there's that cool statue, Axel.
What is
Axel knows that statue.
Yeah. Now, did James Eatock ever describe who those two people were supposed to be? I always wondered. I mean, heroes of that village.
I want to say I think there was some sort of significance between those two, and but at the top of my head I cannot remember what that significance is.
Okay. I always try to picture who those were. I remember as a kid I was like, is that supposed to be somebody? And I never knew, but yeah, another little background thing. But yeah, he's basically saying if that's what Dylamug just said is if you don't bring us all your money, all your valuables, we're going to turn your town into just like the rubble of this, that statue of the rock right there. So they take off. Now she was trying to tell them about trying to fight, and of course they're all basically scared to fight. And it's going to be She-Ra that's going to have to do everything, unfortunately, but not unfortunately because it leads to something else. So that's, like you said, there's always a reason behind what they do. I mean, this little girl is, like I said, trying to be the voice of, telling everybody that they should stand up and fight, along with how She-Ra's saying it. But no, the villagers don't want to do it. They're too scared. They don't think they could do anything. They don't think they can help. And, I always like that.
Probably, it really, if She-Ra was not around, the Great Rebellion could only do but so much. I mean, most of them. I mean, Glimmer has got her powers. Frost is in charge of her kingdom. They could only do but so much, and obviously there's territories of theory that the Horde have left alone. They're in charge of the majority of it, or at least ones that are not controlled by supernatural beings and things like that. So it almost feels like you feel like you don't know who this She-Ra is. This woman shows up and just tells you to fight back. You kind of feel like, well, why should they believe you? They've never seen She-Ra before, so why would they? It's like, you know what? By God, you're right. I'm gonna go get my pitchfork and I'm gonna rip that Dylamug a new ass.
Yep. And
so everything. It's great storytelling here. It all makes sense, and it builds She-Ra up. It builds up the challenge. It tells a good story and allows her to be the hero of the episode and set up what I keep repeating.
Yep. And now, of course, Madame Raz lets Bo and Glimmer know what's going on about the little girl, trying to figure out the name of the town. Devlan screwing it up, but eventually letting them know if that's where She-Ra went. Or I'm sorry, not She-Ra, maybe Adora. I think she said it was Adora that went there. I don't think she said She-Ra. I could have been wrong. But yeah, so of course then Bo's gonna want to go help and Glimmer's gonna want to go too.
I like coming in and correcting her. Devlan, madam.
Yeah, and look,
we all love the sequence here with this cool music as they come charging in, and then you see the panning shot.
I love the gold. Look at how rich is this town? Look at all the treasures. They're like, Jesus, I guess so. Look at what you guys have in this town. You got that much gold.
But then again, too, if that's the entire town on top of what they've been taxed, then everybody's flat broke.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money, though. Right?
It is a lot considering it's a town that's. So you maybe have to kind of feel like, you know what, they're not doing what the Horde is told them you need to pay taxes. They're clearly holding out.
Yeah, holding out, boy. I'll tell you, the Horde's going to be upset seeing all that gold. But there's this crazy little laugh, his little smile. But she was talking about...
Man, this banter, this is just... he's got the coolest voice and just challenging her right there on the spot. And oh man, it's so cool.
And I love how again she's gonna take them all on, but there's something that'll happen later that I really liked. But of course, I like she was doing her thing. She's gonna take care of every one of these suckers. She's gonna batter up here and just home run. There you go. There went that thing. There went the Horde Harley. He went flying. She's showing her acrobatics, her skills. I mean, it's always cool when
I
you
like the
see her get
touches
down.
of Dial-a-Mug's wiring all torn up, as if like he's seen battle.
That's
Not
what I
all
mean.
the wires are.
He's just demented looking. I've
Yeah.
said it. Just, he is. Oh, here we go. The classic boom. You got to have that in almost every cartoon you think of. You always got to have two villains smashing into each other. It's classic drop kick. I love
Yeah.
it. Bam.
This allows She-Ra to really just tear him apart.
Yeah, I love the drop kick. But then, all right, so see, here we go. Girl's gonna stand up. You guys ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna go do something. You got a little girl going out there. They always, of course, the cartoon was, of course, more geared towards females, anyways. So it's usually the women were always the ones that were empowered. So even the young girl is gonna do it. But I love this here because what happens? Dial-a-Mug, best She-Ra. Bam, She-Ra's out. I mean, She-Ra's out. Dial-a-Mug took out She-Ra. How many people can say they took out She-Ra? And if these villagers didn't come out to finally come help, thank God they did, you wonder what could have been done. I mean, She-Ra was defeated, and it sucks that Dial-a-Mug didn't get more respect and more appearances like this, because he takes out She-Ra in this episode, but then when you start seeing him later in the cartoon, maybe two more times, it's slapstick stuff, like I said.
Yeah, he's slipping and running around and scratching his head like gee, I don't know.
Yeah, but I hate it.
Makes you feel like, who dropped the ball in this one? Obviously he was a figure, or supposed to be a figure, and I guess too, Mattel never went through with it, so I guess Filmation was just like, oh yeah, we haven't used that guy in a while.
Sucks. That was so stupid. I mean, if anybody should have had more appearances, Dial-a-Mug should. He could have been one of the main people right there with Hordak, and he just got no respect.
Oh, you could see him as someone who would be a right hand to Hordak, because he's extremely competent in this episode. No BS with him. He's as threatening, and as
how good as any of them. Well, hey, and you got to see.
Well, like General Sunder. He's a character like General Sunder, where he's respected.
Yep. Well, at least that moment of her
enjoys what he does, whereas Sunder's doing it, because he thinks he's doing his job.
Yeah. And She-Ra's moment, I guess, of getting knocked out led to then, yes, the villagers getting their bravery, now taking control and being brave enough to protect their town. Now they could see what to do. So it all happens for a reason.
It's a great moment to build up the heel. It goes back to classic wrestling. You want to get this villain over as a great villain, you have him, take out She-Ra,
Yes. Well, that was that episode. It was a good episode. It was one. Now that, how you're always talking about your top fives, I really do put that in my top five of Prince.
This is in my top 5 episodes too. This
I loved it.
Trouble in Huntara.
Just because of everything, like I said, because the amount of stuff happening, just the character of Dial-a-Mug himself, and like I said, how he was portrayed. But it was just, I didn't feel like it was silly. Sure, every episode of a cartoon can have silly moments, but it didn't feel silly like how some episodes of He-Man and She-Ra and any of the cartoon would maybe be filled with those moments. This, I didn't feel like it. It just felt, it was serious. It had a really good message, and people came together, did what they had to do at the end. So that was a good one. Duel at Devlan.
Good story, and it continues to play out, because Secret of the Sword kind of tells its own thing, whereas Duel at Devlan sets up the big idea of the show, is that to get the people who are being beaten down to rise up against the Horde.
Yeah.
And that's what this thing
one more
does.
In the chat room, JSP also did mention, when we're talking about all that pile of golds and stuff and all the money, he said, he says that's because even the villagers know that taxation is theft. So there you go.
Yes, it is. Well, I mean, we're dealing with a group of douchebags who are just all about, just taxing the hell out of everybody, man. I mean,
right.
It's hard to imagine the things they do tax the Horde. Like, I mean, we think we balk at some of the things that we are taxed. Can you imagine what the Horde taxes on? They probably have taxes for, like, hey, your animal's crapped. If you don't clean it up, we tax you.
Oh, probably everything. Heck, remember even when Darius earlier in the show, when he was just, I think, going to look for his daughter, Remember when the Horde Troopers were there saying, and I think even with Dialogue saying somebody, you don't have a pass to go back here. Like, what are you doing here? You don't have a pass.
You can't leave the village. It's under Horde supervision. So that's yeah. But I'm sure most of them are just kind of made up on the spot anyway. They're given so much power and control that Montana could come up with his own tax if he wanted to.
They probably could. They all abuse their power. Power corrupts. Yep. But I want to thank for, like I said, the people that are in the chat room, JSP and Grim Dagon. Appreciate your comments and you asking questions and participating. We appreciate that and hope kind of answered some of your questions and definitely, like I said, at least your responses, appreciate it.
Yeah, we thank you guys for joining us, and let your friends know. It's always fun to have people in the chat room, talking about what we're talking about, and talk to us as we're discussing. So talk to your friends and cohorts and buddies on social media, and just spread the word on that too. We encourage fan participation with the podcast because we don't have a podcast unless you guys are listening to it. So we want to make sure that people who are listening to it are just as much part of it as we are.
Exactly. That's why we try to if we can. As we're talking, and looking at other things, we'll try to, look at the live chat and try to, acknowledge everybody that's there. We don't want to feel like, we're ignoring you, and we apologize if we ever miss any question or maybe a comment, we apologize, but we try to get, everything we can going back and forth. So, we appreciate you being here and hope you enjoy watching us every week because we enjoy doing this.
And we'll continue to keep doing it as long as we're still on this planet. Because
there you go.
The He-Man is existed on this world, so as long as we're here too, we'll continue to carry the big flag of Grayskull and just keep supporting the hell out of this and keep people's interest. And during these dark times where there's not a whole lot going on with He-Man, so it's pure fandom that's keeping the podcast alive and people listening. So people who do listen to this on YouTube and Podbean, iTunes, live, you're a real fan. Because you're listening to a podcast when there's nothing else going on with He-Man. You're listening because you just like hearing about Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, we just try to keep it fun from everything from mini comics to cartoons to the toys, merchandise, whatever it is. Just doing just fun hypothetical stuff. Just trying to keep it enjoyable. Like you said, when there's nothing really going on, when there's no new cartoons, no new movies. Of course, if that was happening, we talk about that too. But like I said, you keep this alive. There's thousands of characters to discuss. There's hundreds of episodes of the cartoons, the mini comics. Like I said, we just have fun. We just try to pick everything that we can, and of course, then just improvise with other stuff like we did with video games or anything else. It's just fun. That's all it's about. And thanks, JSP and Grim. Grim just said, enjoyed the show, guys. We'll tune in next week. JSP said, keep up the good work, guys. Appreciate it. Like I said, we like having the participation this week. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Well, T-Rex, how do you want to close it up on your end? Do you have any recommendations for episodes? Anything else or what?
Real quick, before I move to recommendations, I want to let people know who were expecting the X-Men Larry Houston. In case you did not see the video feed from today, we had technical difficulties on Larry's end with getting him into the Google Hangout feed that we use. But after a while of trying, I think we've got it worked up. I worked with Larry for a while this afternoon, and I think we got the technical difficulties all cleared up. So we're going to be working on trying to get that rescheduled, possibly as early as at the end of this week. Not next week if this week doesn't work, because San Diego Comic-Con is coming up. But once we get something cleared out to where Doug and Larry and all three of us can get this set up, we will be rescheduling the interview and just have a blast discussing his work on X-Men and other Marvel cartoons. But getting back to so just to let everyone know, it's still coming.
Good. And
as for my recommendation for this week, keeping it in tie with Shira, is Unexpected Ally. And I don't think that I have recommended. I really try. I hope I don't.
I don't remember you ever saying that.
Okay, because I mentioned General Sunder earlier, and that's another. Of course, as a kid, an episode I didn't appreciate. I appreciate it a lot more as an adult, with the great storytelling and a character that is defined to Hordak and switches sides throughout the episode. It was it's goes to show I missed some really good writing in He-Man and She-Ra stories, and this is a great one. I mean, it's fun to depict. General Thunder is a hard ass with a heart, but it's a great character development story. I don't want to get too preachy with it. It's just a great kick-ass She-Ra story. He's a great character that switches sides and gives Hordak the finger. You can't see the finger. There's the finger. That's what he does to Hordak. He gives him the finger. He's had enough of it, and decides to turn on the Horde and leave and help She-Ra and go do his own thing. And he shows up again in Return of the General. So, but that's my my recommendation for this week. And I think I got anything else to mention. Yeah, I think I'm good.
I think you're pretty good. All right. For Rated R, you just gave 3 birds to everybody. So there you go.
What?
I said, for this podcast being Rated R, I guess you did because you just flipped this off.
Yeah, well, we certainly want to keep up. And for people, when you saw my finger, or for our YouTube listeners, Podbean and downloaders probably didn't see that. I gave the finger as a gesture to say what General Thunder does to Hordak. I'm not telling our viewers,
Oh, I know. We know that. I know.
I'm just verifying in case,
You're just flipping me off.
If somebody decides to send angry messages, I'm like, okay, then you didn't listen to the whole podcast and get that it was a reference to what General Thunder does. Well, you're not going to get that on any other He-Man podcast. You're not going to get to see General Thunder giving the finger to Hordak. You're not going to see that anywhere else except on a Rated R.
You know
podcast.
what? And you know what else you're not ever going to see on anywhere else is rate share. That's the Jason Dorbs. See, his eyes are kind of like looking cute face, but he doesn't have a smile. So this is what the Dorbs looks like right here for the Jason one. So you could even make Jason Voorhees look adorable. What are you looking for? What are you trying to do?
Oh yeah, you know what? You won't see the movie Uncle Buck referenced on any other He-Man podcast other than right here.
Oh, yeah? Well, you won't ever see... never mind. I was going to look for something, but... Wait!
You know what? You won't see Buddy Christ on any He-Man podcast.
Wait a second. Ever. And you also won't see this Jesus Christ. Look, you won't see this Jesus Christ action figure. You won't...
Jesus Christ. I've run out of Jesus Christ.
You also won't see, look, the Texas Tornado, those little minifigures. You won't see nothing like that.
You won't see Mr. T on any other He-Man podcast. You hear that? You hear that? You see it?
You won't see this dusty old electronic laser glove that was for, like, back in the 80s at the time of Freddy Krueger. This thing would light up. I don't know. Wait, see, you can't. Can you see it? Look. It's kind of doing it. It's light in here, but it does have the prism stuff that sparkles. So you won't see that. So there. We could do this all day, but we won't because we have to get off the air now. We'll have people wondering, how much more stuff do these people have? So, okay. Well, as for me, I'm going to tell you guys where to go. Go to fansofpower.com, go to popculturenetwork.com, go to hemanworld.com, and on Facebook, go to Masters of the Universe, He-Man and She-Ra Ultimate Fan Group, all great places.
Us are on Facebook as well. Both Joe and myself are on Facebook for listeners if you want to reach out to us and ask us questions you want answered on the show or something like that. I'm just reiterating, you finished that. I was just letting people know that both you and I are on Facebook under our actual names. So
we are. So you can find us just by our just regular names. Joe Amato. You can find me there. So, well, that's it. So until next time, have a powerful day.
Why don't you just back off, you string bean? We could have left your worthless ass back on the roof.
Oh, God, this is 5 weeks in a row you stumped me. What the heck? What is that? What is it? You got to let me know. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I thought you were just saying it's Kevin Bacon from Tremors.
Oh, Jesus, God, of course.
He's mouthing off to to Bert when they're stuck on the rocks. And he's like, so you two screw-ups haul us the way the hell out here? And you're like, why don't you just back off, you string bean?
Great. You stumped me again. So, guys, me and Tyler got to manually turn off. So you might see a minute of dead space of a logo spinning around. But see you next week, guys.
Later, guys.